So hi everyone, today we have come to a very special guest's house. The idea behind is we would want to understand how our successful people made. What is their thought process? Get to know them in real, not really in just the professional setup, but also as personally. So today we are meeting Mr. Vinay. He is an investor and he's a very known figure in the investment world. So I'm very glad that we could get his time today. So yes, let's go.
Yeah,
Hi.
Hello.
How are you?
Welcome. Yeah, come in.
Come in.
Great. This is my wife, Seema.
Hi.
And this is my son, Ankul.
In the investment world, you're really known. You have really good views upon funding. You have really good views upon corporate life. So I thought, why not meet you in person?
Yeah, definitely. Welcome home and pleasure welcoming you. Yeah, please. Yeah, thanks for the compliment. It's all her effort rather than mine. Yeah. so-
Definitely. Tell us a little bit about the home. So like, what is a bat and a ball doing here?
So this is basically a autographed bat and ball by Shreyas Iyer. It's come as compliments of the wealth management firm I'm associated with and who had helped with my wealth management and they are my relationship advisors, financial advisors.
Oh, very nice. And I can see a very nice thread painting over here, I guess.
Yeah, that's actually we just celebrated our 25th anniversary
Wow.
last December. So this is sort of a gift from me to my wife on
Very
that
nice.
occasion. So,
And it's beautiful.
yeah, I'll hand it over to Seema to walk us around.
Yes,
Yeah.
sure.
So let
Yes.
me give you a tour of the house. This is the living room. You saw this.
Yes, and we have seen your beautiful
Thank
picture as
you.
well. Painting in here.
Yeah, it's custom made, so it has all three of our names: Seema,
wow.
Vinay, and Ankur. So that's called as Akshar Ganpati. And this,
It is actually a thing, Akshar Ganpati.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
That's an art.
Wow. It's beautiful.
So this is our study room,
Okay.
come office for Vinay. So Vinay usually works out of here.
Right. Okay.
This is where Vinay's magic happens.
And I can see very beautiful pictures
Oh,
here.
I'm very crazy about pictures.
The mandatory Taj Mahal picture
Oh,
in
yeah.
every family,
Yes.
right?
This is another bedroom, the guest bedroom.
Oh, that is nice.
Oh,
What
that's-
Ankur has made.
Oh yeah. He was very like in his nursery section, so they had an assignment to collect only dried leaves, and so this is our master bedroom.
Okay.
So that's again another portrait we got made.
Wow.
Mr. Vinay Peshwa have been an angel investor and a startup advisor. We have invested in around 30 odd companies so far, and post his journey with Infosys, he has founded two companies. One was in fintech and one was in music. Again, a very different domain. One interesting fact, he has been one of the panelists in Bharat Ke Super Founders. That's a show that is being aired on TV. So I think with that, so welcome sir, welcome to
Thank
our
you.
podcast.
Thanks for having me on board.
The reason we wanted to have this conversation was because there are so many founders who would begin onto their entrepreneurial journey. However, in between, what happens is you will not find a lot of actual information that is needed to understand what an investor is actually looking upon. And that's where we are here to kind of discuss when should a founder get into funding, how can they get a better funding, and what all is required. What is a good time for me to raise a fund if I'm a founder? How to raise a fund, as in what are the things that the investors will look upon apart from my pitch deck or even in my pitch deck, right?
So yeah, I think thanks to your introduction. So if you, as you said, so I've been both sides of the table in some sense. So I've been an entrepreneur myself, have gone and sought funding for my venture, as well as now I sit on the other side as an investor. So I guess the perspective, holistic perspective, definitely helps in that context in terms of being able to sort of strike a balance between what a founder needs versus what the investor wants. At the end of the day, both need to sort of come together in terms of creating a win-win kind of proposition is what will make sense for both parties involved. Because unless the investor sort of sees a win and the founder gets the money, the venture suffers, right? So that's the whole sort of equation there, where you have to sort of bring the two together and as equal parties. Like it shouldn't be the case that one is dictating terms. It's the whole sort of outlook we'll try and bring out in our conversation today.
Because the study says that 90% of the startups fail in first 5 years because of 3 reasons. One is there's no proper product market fit. Second, there's a cash flow issue, map it properly. And third is poor team alignment. When you're saying that nobody should be in a dictating terms when there's a whole team, and I believe investor is also a very, very important part of your team.
Definitely.
And that's how we would want to begin. So with that, Mr. Vinay, what makes more sense in 2026 in terms of the founders? Do we see bootstrapped startups working better or VC funding startups working better? And what are your thoughts upon that?
Yeah, I think it depends on the stage at which the startup is. For example, if you are just very early with an idea getting into the market and, as you said rightly, haven't still hit product market fit, then in that case bootstrapping or getting money from your friends and family makes more sense, because it's very hard to get an external entity, in this case an investor, interested and willing to invest into your startup, because there is nothing to show in some sense. Like, so you are still establishing proof of concept in some sense, and till you hit the PFM, as it is called, so you won't be able to get money from the market or the investors, so to say. Initially, it's best to be bootstrapped. Subsequently, once you have some traction going, some revenue, some commitments from the customer, you should go out and get money from institutional players, be it angel investors or venture capital funds.
Right. And how much do you think in the beginning, when you're saying, get initial traction, what do you call initial traction as good enough to go for an angel investor or any other funding entities?
So I guess it depends on the startup as well, in terms of which domain or area they are in. But as a thumb rule, I would say if you can sort of get some paying customers, a handful, 3 or 4 at least paying customers. If not paying, at least you should have a memorandum of understanding, MOU or LOI for that matter, saying post this proof of concept, pilot, whatever it is, they will be willing to pay you X amount. So some contractual obligation should be there from the customer point of view, saying that or proof basically of the intent to pay, if not paying already. So that's maybe an indicator of whether you are going to really have sort of a revenue stream down the line or not. Like, so in some sense you have to be able to showcase some either concrete revenue or proof of revenue down the line. So that's what I would put it across as being the need from an investor standpoint, in terms of some commitment from the customer saying they like your product, and not only just like but are willing to pay.
And I'm sure that when we're talking about letter of intent and MOUs, they have to be properly written and signed, right?
Yeah.
Because a lot of times we think that somebody will, I've had a discussion with this person. He
Yeah.
said that yes, I'll do that. Do you believe, as an investor, would you believe in such scenarios?
No, name dropping doesn't help, right? Because I can also take names, right? So I can also say that whatever. When you are ready, come back to me, right? So that is the counter I will offer, like saying, I am not ready right now. Once you have the customer commitments, then you can come back, or I'll refer you to someone else whom I know will not give you the money. Right? So that is like, so I think the investors are smart enough to be able to see through that kind of thing. Like, so I think anything on paper is a must, or at least there should be something. If I pick up the phone and talk to the customer, your startup's customers, then they should be willing to say something good about it.
So when you're saying upon get the funding, when you have some kind of attraction for your company, who all, like for a founder, who all they should be going towards to get funding? F&F and angel investors. If you can help us break down all of these things in a better view.
Yeah. So initially, once you have an idea, obviously you need to develop that idea. So there are, either you can have your own team do that for you in terms of put together a team, both from a technology as well as operations perspective, take forward the idea and take it to market. So that's one approach. The second is you go to an incubator or an accelerator, which basically is helping you take the idea to market by providing all the support services. When I mean support, they will also help you with the technology services, they'll help you with marketing services, with services on the HR side, the hiring, talent management, whatever it be, and also legal or financial support, sort of setting up the right structure for the startup in some sense. So that's the second stage. Or second option one has is in terms of going to an incubator or an accelerator, which will help you get ready, get you to a pilot stage, wherein you have what is called as a minimum viable product or MVP ready, or a proof of concept ready, which you can showcase to potential customers of yours, and then get some conversations going with the customers and get some validation on that with the customer. In lieu of those services, either they might take some equity stake, or they might sort of take some deferred compensation in future for the services that you're providing. So that's the two options to get you to a stage where you have something which you can showcase to the customer. So on the funding side, associated with getting to an MVP stage or a proof of concept stage, you would need some money as well. Assuming that you don't have that money, then you might need to go to friends and family, as you said, to get that money. Unless you have it yourself, wherein you don't need to go out and seek the help from anyone else. So if you are in a capacity to invest your own money, well and good. If not, take help from friends and family, because they know you the best. They know that you are capable enough maybe to be able to pull this off, and they will put the money in based on the trust they have in you, rather than any understanding for that matter about the product, the service, or the offering that you are coming up with, because that's none of their business in some sense, right? So they don't understand it, they don't care about it, they're just banking on you, saying that since you started this and I know you, I trust you, and you will not maybe sort of you will put my money to good use in some sense. They will give you the money, right? And that amount should be such that you should treat it more as a loan and be able to repay it eventually. And if not, if they don't want it to be repaid, maybe you can offer some equity subsequently, just as a goodwill gesture, saying that since now the company is up and standing on its feet, I will give you something in return for the help and assistance you provided. So that's the way to fund it till the MVP stage, or to the stage where you can showcase something to the outside world. Once you reach that stage, then obviously there will be others who can be approached. That will be the likes of angels, like myself for that matter, or maybe go to angel networks, which are just pools of angel investors, where they're just pulling in money from multiple angel individual investors and putting it together in a common shared pool to deploy. So that's the second option you have once you have some sort of traction going, as we talked about earlier. Or even from some of your customers who could be strategic investors, as it is called, who are basically in the same domain or space as you operate in. They are not only your customers, but they see value in terms of the services or products you are offering, and are willing to invest into you to further grow that along with you as a line of business or a revenue channel for them. So that's the third option you have in terms of getting money. Once you have got that money, you can sort of then scale up your product service offerings. Once you make it bigger, obviously there are other players in the market. You can go to private equity or venture capital funds, which come in maybe at beyond the seed round. So initially it is like at pre-seed, or before you have a product ready, or you just have an idea. At the pre-seed, as I said, it's primarily the friends and family which will help you with the money. Post at the seed round, you can go to angel networks or angels, individuals. Subsequently, you can go to venture capital funds at Series A, Series B. You can go to VC funds as well as to private equity players. And eventually, you can go to the IPO stage, wherein you can either, if you are a smaller entity, you can list on an SME. You can do an SME IPO, list on the SME exchange. Both NSE, BSE have NSE exchange, SME exchange. Or if you make it large and you become a unicorn, then obviously you can go directly to the main board on the exchange and list yourself via an IPO. So those are the sort of investment options available for any startup, depending on the stage and the maturity level they are at.
And would you also want to tell us, like in India, the incubation centers, if there are like a few incubation centers that you believe have a good ecosystem, they have a good support?
Yeah. So I think there are quite a few such, each state for that matter has come up with incubation centers now. Like for example, the pioneer was what is called as T-Hub in Hyderabad, erstwhile Andhra, Telangana state venture. And then a lot of other states copied them. It was last week in Ahmedabad, where they have another similar one which is called iHub. So every state has it now. Chennai has it, Bangalore has it. Like so everyone is doing that at a state level, and obviously there are private players as well. Like I'm associated with Goa-based accelerator called Build3. So they are doing about. They've done till date 100 plus startups they've supported in terms of acceleration and getting them to a stage where they can be funded. So pretty much every state is doing it, so that you can just sort of go, if you are in a particular state, go to the state one, sponsored one, or you can go directly to a private player in your city or in your region. Like so, there are enough and more to go by. Like, so there's no dearth of accelerators and incubators too.
Right. So apart from the services that you would get, right, from the incubation centers and accelerators, what else is the reason a founder should really go to them?
Yeah, I think the other value add that comes is they've also built a network of mentors who help you troubleshoot, or sometimes one gets stuck at a particular stage or with a particular problem, right? It could be internal, technical, it could be a market issue, or it could be a partner issue for that matter, like so, or a vendor issue. So there are experts and mentors available within that ecosystem of the incubator or accelerator who are willing to sort of help you overcome those issues or challenges. Like, so that's like a soft benefit because you're not really, anyway you're not paying for it, right? And getting that kind of help or expertise on your own is very hard because you don't have those connects and contacts within the industry or in that domain to be able to get that help or support. So that becomes a huge benefit for these startups because and the other is they also help you prep up for the funding, the next stage, right? So that anyway is sort of part of the overall process. Like they will get your pitch deck ready, they will sort of do mock pitches for you, train you in terms of what to say, what not to say, etc. But more than that, I think it is the ability to get mentorship and the connect to experts, both technical and domain level, which is of great value add for a startup. So that really is definitely a plus.
So, Vinay, we have seen a lot of pitch deck consultants that are there, right? Or fundraising consultants that are there. Do you advise first-time founders or at the very initial stage that they are in? Do you advise them to go to fundraising consultants directly, or what are your thoughts about it?
In my opinion, I think initially, as I was saying earlier, that the thing is you should have something ready which can be shown, right? So rather than looking at getting money, and the options we discussed for getting money are friends and family initially, right? So there you don't need to have a pitch deck for sure. And if you are at a stage where you need to get money from angels, etc., yeah, then maybe pitch deck makes sense, and maybe reaching out to someone to get help if you are not very good at presentation skills, etc. Maybe then seeking help makes sense at that stage. But then still, I think as I was talking a while back, these incubators or accelerators are already providing that help or support. Like so over and above that, maybe going to a consultant might be an overkill in some cases. If you aren't associated with any accelerator or incubator and have gone all alone to the stage where you have hit the market and have some traction, and then you are looking to raise funds, yeah, then maybe you need to look at pitch deck consultants as they are called. But in most cases, I don't think you need the consultants even at that stage, because what is going to sell at that stage is basically the team, your idea, and the sort of traction, the customer traction you had, right? So it needn't be very fancy in terms of presentation, doesn't matter too much, because what the investor is basically looking at is these three things: the team, the traction, and the product or service you have. So being fair to the founders as well as also to the consultants, I think it is basically a decision you have to take based on whether you really need their services, and if so, at what stage are you really ready to take full advantage of those services that are being offered, because maybe doing it a little too early might defeat the whole purpose or the benefit that you provide. So it's a call. You have to take an informed decision in some sense, and it is decided by primarily how much is at stake. Like it's basically playing a devil's advocate. I would say, if you didn't have a pitch deck consultant for that matter, would you really lose out? And if so, what would you lose out on? So apart from having a fancy presentation, is there anything else that suffers in the process? Maybe not.
Okay, interesting. So with that, probably a good question to ask in this way would be like, for example, I'm a founder and I'm not associated with any accelerator or any incubator. however I would want to create a pitch deck for my idea. What all, as an investor, what all things would you expect from me to add in that particular pitch deck? If we can like get some gist of it, that would probably
Sure.
be
So, there are 4 or 5 things that matter when you are going in initially for fundraising. Basically, what is the idea? What is the market size? What is the customer traction or the current traction you have? What is the team? And what is the roadmap or the plan going forward? So 5 things, that's about it. So restate it: idea, team, product, market, and the future roadmap. So these are the 5 things that any investor will look at, and however form or fashion, whatever sequence you put it across doesn't matter, because at the end of the day these are all the things they will look at, and you can showcase it either by just making a video of your product, or you can showcase that by having a presentation, or you can just talk about it, or you can talk in an elevator in 1 minute, you can give a pitch. So anything which covers these 5 points is good enough.
For example, if we have to pin a particular pitch deck as a good pitch deck and as a bad pitch deck, what are 3 use cases that you would tell as a good pitch deck? That
being concise is of the utmost importance, whether it is, and when I say concise, if you can distill what you are planning to do, what your idea is, what you have done, and everything, that's why the elevator pitch thing is there, right? In a minute or 2. The whole crux of it is, the more you can crunch your pitch into a shorter bite, the easier it is for you to not only convince yourself or the investor, but also you gain more and more clarity about what you are doing. So I think the whole exercise around pitching is meant to get you to that stage where you can clearly say in the least amount of words what you are doing and what you plan to do. Right? So that's the whole gist of it. And how easily you can say that and what clarity you bring to that statement is all that matters at the end of the day, because the problem is investors, most of them have huge egos. So they don't have the time and they don't have the patience to listen to your sob story. Unfortunately, on media you see that sob stories sell, but in real life it puts off people, right? So the guy who has money always wants the next big thing to put that money into, right? He doesn't want to listen to what your problems or challenges were. But it's basically he wants to really understand. At the end of the day, all the investors are looking at is return on investment.
right.
So if you can tell me a story in the shortest possible time, how my money will appreciate if I invest into your startup, that is all I want to listen to. And maybe you don't need to tell me that directly. I can establish that correlation myself. But you just tell your story in the shortest possible time so that you grab my attention and I can make that calculation in my mind saying, hey, if I put X, most likely with this guy it will become 3X in 2 years or 3 years, right? So that is the equation you should be helping me as a founder crystallize that equation and do the math. So that is what is required, and then everything else doesn't matter. Like, so you can cry, weep, laugh, whatever, it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, all I'm bothered about is कि ये मेरा पैसा दुगना तिगना कब होगा, कितनी जल्दी होगा, और whether it will happen with you or not.
But after looking upon a pitch deck, how would you get to know मेरा पैसा यहाँ पे 2x 3x?
Yeah, because I am already I have parallels I keep drawing. As an investor, what typically one does is I have a pool of money. The investor psyche is basically not very different from a guy who is betting, right? So I am betting this X amount of money because I have that risk capital available with me. So I am betting this, and I will like to bet it, for lack of better words, on the best horse. So it is a risk capital I am deploying. So I will only deploy it for the venture that will give me the maximum return. So I am always comparing and using data points from the market, from similar peers or whatever, to be able to take that judgment call, make that judgment call. In some sense, like what am I doing is basically, so investors typically go with the herd. Like, so you won't find too many investors who will invest into a very radical or a new idea, because they don't want to be standing alone taking that bet to start with, because no one else is betting on that. And the risk increases, right? The risk factor increases because no one else is betting along with you. Well, the odds of getting a phenomenal return is much higher if you are betting alone, but then
the risk is
significantly higher, right? And I will always try to ensure that that doesn't become zero. So even if my return is in a venture 3x versus someone else who is saying it will become 100x, right? But the risk with that 100x is 10 times higher, right? So I will not bet on that, because 100x one, I don't think anyone else is also betting on it. So that the psyche is what determines where I will invest and why I will invest. Like, so I will only invest if I can see parallels in terms of key investment is less riskier. It's a risk assessment I do at any given point in time and then bet on it. Less riskier, but or potential to give higher return. So that's the sort of equation I'm always trying to balance. Like, and the other thing is also the herd mentality comes in more from a negative standpoint, because there are some industries which fall out of favor at certain points in time. Like, for example, now EdTech is out of favor. Then also the EV market is out of favor, right? So there are times, because of whatever, some bad news, some startups which fail in that segment. So then those are like typical no-nos. If you come with an idea in EdTech now, then most of the investors will not even listen to you.
Okay.
Because why would I do that when everyone has lost money, including most probably you as an investor also lost money in that space, because 3 years ago that was the flavor of the month or the season, right? And everyone put money as part of the herd. You put money into EdTech. Now you have to sort of, you can't incur more losses, right? And you already lost money in that space. Like, so that's sort of the psyche. So it is basically going by herd mentality and the ability to minimize the risk while increasing the return. So that equation is what matters, and that will be the deciding factor as to where I will bet my money.
As an investor, you would avoid in certain ideas, and there are certain things that we have spoken upon on pitch decks which you believe that are good. Like, for example, if there is attraction, right? If there are any MOUs, we have spoken earlier in the conversation. So those are certain good things that you would see. In the product market fit, right? We always do like a market research and we come up with a TAM sum. How particular do you think investors are about that one slide?
Yeah, I think though, frankly, most of the investors don't even look at it. Because you know those numbers are never going to match with the ground reality, because the numbers are just, people are putting the numbers from quoting some research or whatever, and there is no reality to it. Because if you look at a classic example is the population in India, right? So our internet users. So if you quote saying I have whatever online service offering, well, that's my idea or product, and then my potential audience is all the 80-90 crore mobile users. I have a mobile app and I can get 80-90 crore as not the time, Sam, whatever you call it, right? Doesn't matter. So even if you quote 5%, 10% of it, it is a ridiculously high number because you know when like 80%, 90% of that population lives in villages, tier 3, 4, who are just using mobile just to maybe call or talk once in a day, right? So they don't have a smartphone, they don't have a data pack, whatever, and so it's just numbers that no one bothers about it. Like, so in some sense that that doesn't go into the decision making most of the times, because unless it is a new area, like a new area which you are just you are maybe the early mover in that space, and then I need to figure out, then you need to put some numbers across saying this is really the potential in that space or area. If it is the general sort of run-of-the-mill kind of startup, then those numbers make no sense, I have no sanctity, no one bothers about it. But if it is a new space you are getting into, then you need to be able to validate by some market research or whatever ways or means to say that this is potential market space for my offering, right? Because no one knows, right? It's a new area, investor doesn't know, the founder also doesn't know how many people can they reach, and what will work, what won't work. Like. So in some sense that's the only area where if it's a new space you are getting into which hasn't been sort of commoditized in some sense, then there is a reason for you to do a more in-depth market research or really come up with market sizing much better. If for everything else it is no one even looks at that slide. So, even if, because usually at the angel stage or even Series A stage, if your product is good and the market is obviously, everyone is assuming huge and you have invested, even if you are making 100 crores and the potential is say 10,000 crores or $1 billion, whatever, it's fine, right? Because I am anyway not going to hang around as an investor till you get to 10,000 crores, right? So I know कि अगले 2-3 साल में these guys are going to do well and I will get an exit. I am only bothered as an investor always about my exit. So I don't care about what that market is and how big you will become big. Eventually, I just look at that ROI for myself, saying कि हाँ ये 2 साल में मैं निकल पाऊंगा कि नहीं. And if I have that confidence and your numbers show that, I don't care about the market data at all, because all I need to know is कि आपका valuation कितना बढ़ा. Right. If your revenue grows, your valuation grows. That's the only number I'm worried about as an investor. Because I need another investor to come in to give me an exit at that valuation, the future valuation, right? So I'm only bothered about ensuring that the valuation is increasing over a period of time. Market size and all doesn't matter, because anyway I won't be around to see that. Like, even if I am there, doesn't matter, right? Because it is already, like, I have made my money in some sense. Right? When I exit, doesn't matter, because valuation बढ़ गया तो I have made money. So I'm only, so market size doesn't matter, valuation matters. So what is the valuation I invested at, and what is the current valuation, and what is the future valuation? Okay. This is the only metric that counts from the investor standpoint.
Makes sense. And like, for example, you're talking about on the previous thing that we were discussing, right? Like, few of the domains that you have said are not something investors put their money. However, are there any such domains that investors are vouching for right now? Like, there are, like, for example, I have heard a lot about elder tech right now. Right? So that is something that is booming, I believe. But what are your take? What are some biggest
Yeah, I
ways
think
which are-
that elder care market, especially because of the demographics and the change in demographics, a lot of people retiring, a lot of kids being abroad or outside their hometown, and their parents being back home in their hometowns. So that market definitely is has huge potential, and there's quite a few players that are coming in, but it is a very tough market as well because it's a very touch and feel market, right? So it's not very easy to scale as well.
and very emotional as well.
Yeah, and getting money both from customers as well as investors is not a problem. I think the challenges in that space is always quality and quality of service at the end of the day, and being able to sort of do what you promise to do in some sense. It's very hard, but nonetheless, yeah, definitely a market which has huge potential. The other one is in defense space tech. These are booming markets today, and every company that is coming up in that drones, satellites, rockets, whatever, like everyone is like getting money left, right, center, because that will not go away there. Given the current situation in the world, more money will be poured into this space, so that's definitely a hot sector. Also, AI. Anything to do with AI is today a hot sector. A lot of people anyway claim they are doing AI, but underlying it's the same old stuff. Old wine in the new bottle in some sense. But then, well and good, some people are still making money putting a new wrapper on it. But the AI, I guess, defense, space tech, elder care, even I think going forward, things like biotech, etc., will also grow. Healthcare, medicines, those spaces will become. But definitely, these will be the areas of the next decade or so, in some sense.
Okay. So about all that, then while a person is, or while a founder is looking out for some funding, and as you said, the investor would be very much interested in what valuation they are getting in and what valuation they are getting out. How do you think a valuation is important for a early founder? And from an equity perspective, how much of equity is good enough for you to give away?
Yeah. So at the initial stage, I guess when you start with, say, maybe an accelerator or with a incubator kind of thing, then maybe in the low single digits, say maybe 3 to 5% is what the range should be in terms of equity dilution. As you get to maybe an angel round or seed round, maybe about 7 to 8% is what you would end up diluting typically for that race. And then as you go forward, then that increases because then it becomes like next round you would maybe do about 12 to 15% dilution and so on. And then again after that it purely is it depends on how much capital you need and what is your negotiating power in some sense, because then it becomes more of a negotiation beyond that stage. So these are more like thumb rules till the pre-series A kind of round, like wherein like you end up diluting maybe over 20-25% by that stage, and then subsequently in series A and onwards purely how much can you sort of negotiate and get to. So, but I guess more than that, it is more the valuation doesn't matter so much. I think it is basically at the end of the day, investor says, I want so much of equity. Yeah, so it is more of, and then you reverse engineer and say, I will settle for so much dilution at this valuation. So typically you will never be able to, whatever valuation you come up with as a founder, you will not be able to defend it because the investor always will push back, right? So they would have already decided a valuation. right? And they will stick to that because, and anyway, they have the power initially to sort of, in some sense, decide it and also enforce it, because they are giving you money, which you don't have, right? So that's the main reason you are out there in the marketplace. So the valuation is sort of arrived at by the investor and agreed upon by the founder initially. Subsequently, it becomes a little more of a like a more structured approach is followed in later rounds, because then you have enough and more evidence and data to be able to model that much better and be able to defend a valuation by whatever means. Like, so you could do there are different valuation methodologies available which you could adopt, and you have evidence to sort of support those later on. Initially, you have no data to support, so you have to just go by whatever the market offers you. So it's not choice but compulsion to
Whatever was best at that point in time, what offers.
Whatever is on the offer on the table, you either accept it or you find another investor. So it's
Cool. I think we have got a lot of insights funding in India. Thank you so much for your time with us. At the very end, I would like to ask one thing, that any advice that you would want to give to new founders or to people who are getting into a journey of entrepreneurship.
Guess it's a good time to start up. Never been a better time to start up for sure. The ecosystem has matured. There are enough and more people around to help you in that journey. Though that journey is a long one, a hard one, and a challenging one, one should definitely try it out for sure if you are passionate enough and believe that you can sort of sustain it through the ups and downs. You can maintain your sanity through the ups and downs of that journey. Before starting out, one should have some sort of financial security. Without that, it should not be done, especially if you are in a later stage of your life or career. It is equally important with you have responsibilities towards others and not only yourself, and you should sort of keep that in mind before starting out.
Thank you so much.